Hey guys, today's lesson, and I apologize for not being there. Just do your best. This is a pretty big, important part of what we do mathematically and really for this year and next year. And we're going to take it slow, okay? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to factor by taking the greatest common factor out of each of these items that we're looking at here. So GCF stands for greatest, oops, if I could spell. Sorry, it's 11:30 at night here. Greatest common factor. Okay, so that means we are looking for the greatest common factor in each term. Well, we have a term here and a term here. Well, the greatest factor of 2x and 8 is 2, right? So 2 goes into 2x and 8, negative 8. Well, how many times does 2 go into 2x? Well, a lot of students will do this. They'll divide it. Well, 2 divided by 2 is 1x. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Now, you don't have to put the negative or the 1 in front if you wish not to. Okay? But that's an easy way, really, to factor. Find the GCF and just divide by it. So on number 2, 12 and 10, now we have that x squared, but we don't have an x over here. So the GCF, again, is 2. So we take out a 2. What's left? 6x squared plus 5. So you can see that we're actually doing the distributive property backwards, right? Because to get rid of parentheses, we distribute the 2's. Okay, what's the GCF of 3x squared and 9? 3, right? So if I take out a 3, 3 divided by 3 is 1x squared. 9 divided by 3 is 1. There's 3. Okay. Now 4, a little more complex. What goes into 8 and 18? And also I see an x to the first and an x to the second. Well, 4 doesn't go into 8 and 18. 2 does. But I also see an x in both. So we can take out a 2x. Well, 8x divided by 2x is 4. Negative 18 divided by 2 is negative 9. X squared divided by x to the first, remember our rules, we're just going to subtract those. We're taking an x out. So we got 9x. So it's 2x times 4 minus 9x. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Now you're looking at these and going, wait a minute, these don't look like 1, 2, 3, and 4, but these are actually easier. Do you see a common factor? I do. X plus 1. So we simply take out an x plus 1. When I do that, what's left? 2x minus 7. But you have to put it in parentheses because we're multiplying here, right? Because we would be distributing this. 2x times x plus 1, negative 7 times x plus 1. Similarly, we're going to take out 3x minus 1. What's left? X squared minus 7. Okay, if we take out a y minus 3, got to be careful here. Are we adding 0 or is there a 1 there? Well, if there was a 0 there, there wouldn't be a y minus 3, would there? So it has to be a 1. Okay, now, grouping. Factoring by grouping is nothing more than taking the GCF, except we have 4 terms. Okay? And when we have four terms, when we group, there's going to be a process. Well, if you look at 1 through 6, it's just like 5, 6, and 7. Okay? So on number 1, we're simply going to take y minus 1 out, and you have left 8 minus x. Y plus 2, you're left with 8x minus 3. This is really easy, isn't it? B plus C, x plus what? Tick, tick, tick. 1, right. There's a 1 there, in there. X plus 2y times 4 minus z. Now, if I'm going too fast, just pause it, okay? Take out r minus 1, what's left? M minus, again, it can't be 0, so there must be a 1 in front. And then here, again, x squared minus 16. Now, we're going to find something next time to factor that even farther, but not today. Okay, so how do we factor by grouping? Well, the first thing we have to have are 4 terms. Are there 4 terms? 1, 2, 3, 4? Yep, there are 4. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to group them in pairs. Okay, and what I always do is I always underline or group them any way you want. You can underline, double underline the first one, underline the first one, double underline the second one. I've seen people do that. What I just did, I've seen people do this. It's totally up to you, but you're going to group pairs, okay? Those two and those two. And then you're going to take out the GCF in the first pair. Now this is where it's really easy. What is the GCF of x squared and 2x? Okay, so that's what we're going to look at. Well, I think there's an x in both, isn't there? So if I take an x out, what would be left? Well, x squared divided by x is x, because x times x is x squared. And if I take an x out of 2, it's just x plus 2. Now, the next step is very easy. Rewrite what is in parentheses. Okay? I'm going to rewrite x plus 2. Now notice I left a space. There's a reason I left a space. Because we need this other term right here. Well, how do you find that? Well, guys, it's not that bad. All you do is divide the last 2 terms. So your last step, or your 5th step, divide last 2 terms. Well, what's positive 8 divided by positive 2? 4. Hey. Doesn't that look like 1 through 6 up here? Doesn't that look like 5, 6, and 7 up there? Well, what do you know? Then we simply factor the GCF. X plus 2 times x plus 4. And you just did a complex problem. I'm going to finish the notes here. Factor the GCF. Okay, that is the process every time. I encourage you to pause it and write that down. Get it back on, and we're going to do number 8. Okay, so we're going to underline or group the first 2 and the last 2. We're going to take out the GCF. Let's see. s squared and s, wouldn't that just be an s? What would be left? Well, you'd have to have an s times s to make s squared. If you take an s divided by s, you get 1, because you're going to distribute here to get this. You got to take s times s to get s squared, s times -1 to get negative s. Remember, our steps are to rewrite s minus 1 again, divide the last two terms. Negative divided by negative is positive. 4 divided by 1 is 4. Then factor out the GCF, which is s minus 1, and write what's left, s plus 4. Perfect. Number 9, group. Well, the only factor that 2m squared and 3m have together is an m. So that would leave me with 2m plus 3, right? Then rewrite that, 2m plus 3. Remember the next step? Divide the last two terms. What's negative divided by positive? Negative. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So we have 2m plus 3. Factor out the GCF. What's left? M minus 5. Again, don't be afraid to stop it or go back. Whatever you need to do to understand grouping. It's just a pattern, guys. It's all it is. Okay, b squared minus b. Well, you got a b, right? I believe that would be b minus 1. But that means I have to write it again. And I divide the last two. Negative divided by negative is a positive. 5 divided by 1 is a 5. GCF, take out the b minus 1. What's left? B plus 5. Okay, now I did 4. You have 5 left, right? I'll do one more. And then the rest, the other 4 you're going to do for homework. And then you're going to do your worksheet. And the worksheet is just the front. And after you get that front done, you're going to do that Thursday extension in Mr. Thamer's class. Okay, so number 11. What's common in both? An A. What's left? A plus 3. Rewrite it. Divide. GCF. Isn't that amazing? Once you get the pattern down, it's quite simple. Once you get the pattern. You know what? I'm feeling generous because I see a Y and a Z in 12. So we're going to do one more. We're going to do 12. It looks tough. Okay, what does this one have in both? I see a 2y and a 2y, don't you? So take out a 2y. This says 2y squared. I have 2y. I need a y, don't I? And I took a 2y away, so that would just be y minus z. If I took that 2y out front. Rewrite. Divide the last two. Okay, what's positive divided by negative? Positive. No, negative, sorry. 5 divided by 1 is 5. That leaves me with factoring out the GCF. Y minus z times 2y minus 5. Now remember, all that foiling we did last time Well, that's how we would get rid of all these parentheses. We would FOIL all these answers to get back to the original. So all we're doing is undoing all of these, what we did the other day. We're just undoing it. Okay, now I would like you to do 13, 14, and 15, part of your homework. When you're done with that, you're going to do the simple front page of GCF with some grouping, and then you're going to do that Thursday extension on my desk. Thanks for your time, and help each other.